Welcome to High Point, North Carolina, home of the Panthers in purple and white. A team that shocked the nation last year, winning the Big South regular season title, but falling just short of their championship goal. Tonight, the Panthers are back in the Coppin Center for their first regular season game in 249 days, and they're coming with a vengeance. The most anticipated season in High Point history starts tonight. This is the Panther Pregame.
Welcome into the Panther Pregame, everyone. I'm Anthony Evangelista, joined by my good friend Garrett Escala, and we're in the studio today for the first official game of the High Point season as they take on the Eagles of Coppin State.
This men's team is coming with expectations the program has not seen in a very long time. After a heartbreaking end to an incredible run last season, the Panthers are looking to avenge the loss by topping last year's team with one that's even better.
And they definitely went out and did that, Garrett. There are 12 newcomers on High Point's roster added from this offseason alone. And with playmakers like Demorian Williams transferring in from Texas Tech and Bobby Pettiford, who had a role in Kansas's title run in 2022, High Point has stacked their team with unprecedented depth.
You know, Anthony, you said it. I'm confident that anyone on the bench for this Panthers squad could start on any other Big South team, and I don't say that lightly. And with Coach Alan Huss in the driver's seat for his second year in the purple and white, this team could be a dark horse not just to win the Big South, but just to make a big splash when March comes around.
Well, on the topic of Coach Alan Huss, I was able to sit down with him on the court of the Coppin Center to discuss his expectations and goals for this upcoming year.
Coach, it is now year 2 at the helm of this High Point program. What differences do you see on day 1 this year in comparison to day 1 last year?
Having 6 returners that know, at least in basic principle, what we're trying to accomplish on both ends of the floor has been a huge advantage, a huge change from a season ago. At the same time, we've got a lot of new bodies, so we're still trying to kind of get acclimated, so there's a lot of commonality between last season and this season in that regard.
Now, you mentioned new additions. How have these new additions surprised you, whether it's transfers, new players on the team, or even just the walk-ons?
I mean, I think you have to start with transfers. We got a couple of really good ones. Chase Johnston started in our exhibition game over the weekend and was a double-digit scorer. Braden Hausen, as a freshman, also a double-digit scorer over the weekend in our game. You know, those guys were really effective there. And then we've got a whole series of guys. Yvonne played a bunch of minutes. Josh and Simon have both been a little bit banged up. Terry's still out. So we got a number of guys that are still trying to find their way or get back healthy, but you know, the returners for the most part carried us, those 6 guys. But those new guys are going to kind of keep finding their way, and they're going to be a big part of what we do.
Now, in addition to having all these new players, you've also had a few switches on your coaching staff. How have the new coaches that have come in kind of acclimated to the new situation?
That's probably the hardest part, you know, just not because these guys aren't capable, because they certainly are, but just they've got to learn and teach at the same time, and that's a different dynamic. Trey and Jalen are really missed. Trey came with me from Creighton, and we really we were on the same page just because we had worked lock and step at Creighton prior to our arrival. You know, so losing him was really hard. Jalen was our just constant energy guy. You know, but Coach Brady and Coach Young are both going to be good in their own right and bring new things to us. But you know, we're kind of all still working together and are working to get to know each other better and figuring out how everybody's going to fit in and what it's all going to look like.
So after last year, really solid, strong regular season, and then obviously a heartbreaking end in the tournament, is there almost a fire in the locker room to sort of avenge that loss to Longwood last year and to make it to the top again?
Yeah, I think you can take the almost out. I think we've worked diligently all summer to make sure that we avoid another locker room of disappointment. I think last year we had the nation's longest winning streak at one point, and us as a staff, as a team, you know, had we maybe lost a game or two in there to feel that, maybe it would have been better for us in the end. So there's definitely a fire. It's something that's driving our returners. The new guys are falling in and starting to learn it as well. And I think adding a guy like Bobby Pettiford to the mix that's a national champion, because you got that fire and those guys that experienced true heartbreak in March where expectations were so high. And then you got a guy like Bobby that explains to those guys on a daily basis just kind of what this looks like when you're competing when you're competing against everyone's best shot, I think it's done wonders for just raising our daily level and the way we've attacked kind of the daily grind.
So now, stepping away from basketball for a second, I've heard that you're a big Chiefs fan. I want to hear, what is your opinion on the team kind of going into this week, still undefeated? What do you think their chances are of that third straight Super Bowl?
I think that they've done an unbelievable job of kind of rebuilding themselves this season. The way they've kind of rebranded themselves into like a power team with Kareem Hunt and winning with Travis Kelce being covered by 3 people all the time. It's been a lot of fun. Like, I grew up in the 90s in Kansas City for some really boring Chiefs teams, the early 2000s, these Elvis Gerbach teams that could like score a little bit and throw it all over the place but couldn't stop anybody. To actually have like the best team, it's been really fun. I mean, it's been amazing. That's my pro sports. I don't miss Chiefs games. That's my deal.
I like that. I'm happy to hear that you're happy. I'm a New York Jet fan, unfortunately, so it's definitely not the same level for me.
JETS. Go Chiefs.
Even with his Kansas City fandom, it was a pleasure sitting down with Coach Huss, and we're all looking forward to see what he can accomplish this season. Last year's Big South preseason poll had High Point near the bottom of the barrel, and we all saw the product on the court and in the standings to prove that wrong. Let's take a look at this year's preseason poll, where High Point has been selected as the top team near unanimously to finish first in the conference.
You know what, Anthony? It's definitely an accomplishment for Coach Huss and the team, but one thing we learned from last year is that anything can happen in the Big South Conference. Last year, High Point was selected to finish 7th with only 1 first-place vote, and obviously, we know what happened after that. High Point now has to live up to those expectations, finishing first. Every game matters, and that starts tonight.
I mean, Garrett, I think you said it best. You have to live up to those expectations, but that also puts the target on your back being voted first. I mean, every team that steps into the Coppin Center will be looking to beat the Panthers. It's definitely interesting to look at the rest of the projections, including Asheville falling to 4th without 2-time Big South Player of the Year Drew Pember. On top of that, reigning championship winner Longwood rounds out the top 3, despite losing star big man Simon Zapala to Michigan State. Now, for me, Garrett, my favorite part of the poll is the very bottom, where USC Upstate received a last-place vote from all but 1 writer. So, some massive expectations for the Spartans this season.
Yeah, Anthony, like you said, I cannot believe that only 1 writer predicted that USC Upstate was not going to finish last.
For Upstate and for the rest of the teams in this conference, you just got to have faith.
You know, I agree with you, Anthony, and the Coppin Center is definitely going to be loud tonight. And speaking of faith, let's see what's going on right now at the arena with our in-arena host, Faith Wolpert. Faith?
As the Panthers' outstanding 6th man, Keza Jiffa has taken the Big South by storm. Tonight, we take a closer look at the senior standout.
The High Point Panthers men's basketball team heads into the 2024-2025 season led by point guard Keza Jiffa, who was just named Big South Preseason Player of the Year. What is Jiffa's outlook on the season?
I choose to come to High Point because I was looking for a new home and somewhere I could be able to play how I want to play, and based off, High Point's offense and, the whole program, the culture, and the coaching staff, it just felt like it was the right fit for me, and I felt like I was at home, so that was a pretty natural decision for me.
The feeling of how last season ended still sticks with Jiffa, so learning and improving from it is what is key in order for the Panthers to end up on top this season.
I would say, it's a learning experience. It was really my first conference tournament for me, even though I'm a junior. So, just learning and improving from that. Obviously, remember the feeling of losing that game, but as a player, just looking back, watching film on what I could have done better and what is the next step on my progression, as a senior, next year I'm a turn pro, so just, working on the stuff that is going to make me a better overall player.
When it comes to goals for the season, the team matters most to Jiffa.
I mean, personal goals is personal goals. At the end of the day, for me, the main thing is, the success of the team and where we want to go as a group. But I would say personally, I've been named preseason player of the year, so why not win it?
What does it mean to Jiffa to win preseason conference player of the year?
It's always a good feeling to, get your work recognized at this level. So yeah, that means a lot. And, it keep me, motivated, and that's why I work hard every day, I'm trying to get better and win.
From Panther Pregame, I'm Jonah Aline. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Jonah. The seats behind me are already starting to fill up, and all eyes are going to be on Jiffa tonight. We're excited to see if he can bring that same energy, skill, and passion. Back to you, Anthony.
Thanks, Faith. Jiffa, as mentioned, is the Big South preseason player of the year. Now, Garrett, what do you think that necessarily means for this Panther squad?
You know what, Anthony? I think Keza is going to be in the driver's seat of this Panthers offense. He's coming into his senior year with a lot of confidence and needs to continue to play his game. He makes every player around him a better player, and if he can do that not only tonight, but for the season, the Panthers will win a lot of games.
Look, Jiffa is a natural-born leader. We saw it all of last year, and being one of the players in their second season at High Point, Jiffa is going to be depended on to keep morale high and to keep the team focused. Let's see if he could keep finding his way to the charity stripe and lead this team to the Big South Championship that they've been yearning for so long. Now looking at today's game, Coppin State is not a team High Point can strictly overlook. The Eagles opened their season on Monday in Winston-Salem versus Wake Forest and actually outscored the Demon Deacons by 5 in the second half. While their record last year doesn't show it, Coppin State is a sneaky defensive squad, holding Wake Forest to just 9 for 37 from beyond the arc and forcing 12 turnovers throughout the game. While High Point's explosive offense is centralized around threes and layups, if their shots aren't hitting from deep, crashing the boards and getting those second chance points or free throw attempts are the key to this one for the Panthers. Now let's head into our Garrett's game plan segment. We'll hear Garrett's keys to the game for the High Point Panthers. Garrett, you have the floor.
Thank you, Anthony. Let's head to Garrett's game plan, my favorite segment. And the first up is the Panthers need to get to the line. Last year, they ranked first in the Big South Conference in free throw percentage, and their exhibition game, they shot 8 for 9 at the line in the first half. Drawing fouls and getting to that line will be huge tonight. Second is setting the tone. This is going to be a big game for the Panthers and in tonight and how they get momentum going and controlling the pace of the game. The Coppin Center is going to be loud, and staying mentally sharp will help them stay focused and play High Point basketball. Lastly, coming down with rebounds is going to be huge. Panthers have some height in Joslin Bodo, a freshman All-American who also had a career-high 19 rebounds against Radford last year. If he can help the Panthers get possession of the ball, the Panthers should win this game.
Thanks for that, Garrett. I 100% agree with you on all of those points. Unfortunately, though, that's all the time we have for today in the studio. We'll be sending you to the Coppin Center for tonight's matchup between the Coppin State Eagles and your High Point Panthers. I'm Anthony Evangelista alongside Garrett Escala, and this has been the first Panther pregame of the year. Thank you for watching, and as always, roll Thurs.